Welcome to Stormy Willow, where we explore the paranormal, celebrate the odd, and never trust the living. I'm your host, Adele, stoic smartass.
And I'm your hostess, Sarah, bean eating butthead.
Bean eating butthead. That's an accurate description.
And I think I was supposed to do the introduction since I'm reading the story, but that's cool.
No, I'm just
I'm never gonna get it
mix
right.
it up every time. Whoever doesn't do the story does the intro.
Well, thank goodness for you, Adele.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I say we go ahead and hop into some booger news.
Not like we've not had enough booger news the last few weeks. Just add to it, why don't you, Adele?
I mean, this whole year, this whole millennium, everything, we've just been doing nothing but dodging bullets, right? So this is a case where dodging bullets was not such a good idea.
Oh, no.
So yes, my booger news story is bullet dodge challenge ends in disaster. Because that
Who would
already...
have thought that would have ever happened?
Yeah. So we've heard some dumb ideas, but this one might take the cake. A Utah man is now facing manslaughter charges after a late-night experiment in human agility went fatally wrong. In the fine tradition of Florida man, but in Utah, a group of friends under the influence of both marijuana and poor decision-making decided to test whether one of them could actually dodge a bullet. Spoiler alert, he could not. Authorities say the shooter fired multiple times, seemingly convinced that his buddy had Neo-like reflexes. Unfortunately, reality kicked in, and one of those bullets found its target, turning this ridiculous challenge into a crime scene. Yeah, so now instead of being part of a viral stunt, the shooter is looking at serious charges, and the victim has joined the list of people who learned the hard way that physics does not, in fact, care about your confidence.
Now, I'm a little shocked at them being stoned and not drunk, because I feel like that would take too much effort.
Yeah, I feel like they were probably... This doesn't seem like a stoner move. I feel like it sounds more like a drunk move, so maybe they were doing a little bit of both.
Yeah, as I'm thinking, that sounds like a lot of effort.
And, stoners aren't notorious for moving very quickly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think they're trying to give stoners a bad rep. A little bit.
Can you imagine, though, dying like this? What do you say?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
Just don't even know how to... Oh, God. Okay.
And I can't help but think the person that has the manslaughter charge is gonna be like, but he told me to do it.
Yeah, that's...
But why'd you have to shoot multiple times?
Oh my God.
I
can't.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That.
Do we think they were really doing that, or do you think maybe it's a story that the guy meant to shoot him? He's like, I'm gonna make up this story that...
Right?
I just don't know. This could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I have no idea. Or, I don't know, have any of you ever dodged a bullet? For real? If not, don't try it. But
no,
if you did it, I would like to hear your story. Oh, man. But yeah, so, lesson learned.
This is when you wish you could really do a seance with the departed and be like, okay, are you really trying to dodge bullets, or did something sinister happen?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I get the vibe that I think they really were just being kind of silly. I don't think the guy, murdered him and then came up with this story. This is just my opinion. Just from, the way the story was reported. And it's just, the vibe I'm getting. That I think he truly just made a stupid decision. They both did. And unfortunately, I can totally see that with people who are kind of bored and, barely adults.
Yeah. Oh, I just hate it. That's really tragic.
I don't know, guys. If you're gonna try this, at least use rubber bullets or something.
Or maybe a Nerf gun.
I don't know.
Use a Nerf gun. You don't need to use a Nerf gun.
Or even paintball. That'll hurt if that's the goal. But I don't know.
Or
And
even a BB if you have to use a gun. I mean,
yeah,
but
freaking
yeah.
yeah. So maybe don't use live rounds for anything that you're not trying to destroy.
Think you never have to warn someone about.
Well, I mean, you just
Damn.
covered Travis that accidentally shot himself, like just goofing around with guns. So
I
stop,
mean,
stop
that's true.
goofing around with guns.
Was the person were one of the people named Travis? Do we know?
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
I feel like the
I don't know their
Travis
names. I did
that
not.
has to.
I don't know the the guy for manslaughter. I don't have his name here, but it was not Travis. But I don't know if the victim was or not.
Well, here's a funny Travis update for you guys. We're reading a book in book club called Archer's Voice, and it's a really great story. But there's a little hooligan in there named Travis, and he is such a Travis. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and apparently there's a second book just called Travis, like just about him. But he does all the Travis things, and I'm like, it's a true thing, you guys. It's not
It
just a
really
Sparky
is.
Malone thing.
Yeah, prove us wrong. Like,
Please.
and
Prove
if
us
you know
wrong.
a Travis who isn't up to no good, you just haven't found out yet.
Yeah, because that's also a Travis move, like this Travis, making you think he's not up to no good, but he is. He is.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just watching Overboard last night, and I forgot one of those little demon children
One of
is
the
named
kids' names
Travis.
is Travis.
He's such a Travis.
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe this week's astro forecast is going to have some Travis energy.
Oh no, we're not ready.
Yeah, that's a great segue into the astro forecast. A little bit of Travis energy going on, honestly.
I mean, it could be a good time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's going to be a little wild here and there, and kind of like roller coasters and sporadic. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a Travis week. So just roll with
All
it, have fun
right,
like he will.
just do it. Just be Travis this week.
Yeah. So let's hear how Travis it's going to be. Uh,
Okay.
this is your astro forecast for February 10th through the 16th, 2025.
Yay!
So Monday, February 10th. High winds and unstable signals. That sounds pretty Travis.
Unstable, yeah. Check.
Mercury square Uranus, or maybe Uranus in this case.
If it's a Travis week, it's a Uranus.
It's a Uranus. Mercury fooling around with Uranus. You know that can't be good, but it's going to be funny, I bet.
I don't want anything fooling around with my anus. Definitely not Travis.
Oh, God, no. All right, so communication lines are crackling with static, and unexpected detours are likely. One moment you're cruising, the next you're in a full-on mental traffic jam.
Oh, nice.
Misunderstandings, they're brewing like a summer thunderstorm.
Oh.
So warning, don't believe everything you hear today. Double check the facts before reacting. That sounds it's like don't react until you know for sure that you need to be reacting to it, okay? And the signs most affected are going to be Gemini, Virgo, Aquarius, and Taurus. So you guys need to buckle up, and your schedule may get flipped on Monday. So what to do? Just stay flexible, adapt, don't panic, keep an eye on tech issues. You know how Mercury is. If frustration peaks, take a breather before responding. All right, so don't do that explosive anger thing that you do. All right, and then Tuesday, February 11th.
Oh, we're just on Tuesday.
Yeah, only Tuesday. Tuesday, emotional heat waves. Venus sextile Pluto. So deep, sultry waves of passion roll in, stirring emotions and intensifying relationships. Secrets may rise like steam. So if you're up to no good.
This.
And hearts are cracking open. That sounds very Travis. Warning.
Hard to taking names.
Yeah, warning. If a conversation takes a deep turn, don't shy away. This is soul level stuff. So if these heartfelt conversations come up, just go with it. Signs most affected, Taurus. I think you're going to have a week, Taurus. I think you're going to acquire a few of these. I'm sorry. Libra, Scorpio, and Capricorn. You're feeling these deeply on Tuesday.
Okay.
What to do? Get real. Honest conversation can be healing. Strengthen connections. Tell someone how you really feel. If an old wound resurfaces, work through it. Don't bury it. So just deal with your shit, okay? Bury the hatchet.
Okay.
Wednesday, full moon firestorm, because full moon
Whoa.
is in Leo. Hello.
Oh, hell.
So the spotlight is blazing and emotions are at a rolling boil. If you've been keeping things bottled up, today's the day they are going to spill over. So prepare for
Shit.
big declarations, bold moves, and some high voltage drama. Warning.
Do you know any Travises that are Leos? Because that could be trouble on Wednesday.
I don't think the world's ready for that.
I don't think so either.
Although I just feel like a Travis Aries sounds also pretty intense.
Me too. A Travis, Aries, and Leo. Oh man,
Those two will
you're
brawl.
asking. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a battle. That's like Clash of the Titans right there. Just two stubborn assholes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, okay, so warning, ego clashes ahead. Be confident, but don't steamroll others. So you gotta like tone it down a little bit. Signs most affected, of course, Leo. Aquarius, Taurus, there you are again, honey. Sorry. And Scorpio. What to do?
Yeah.
Shine bright. But leave space for others to shine.
Such a Leo thing.
You gotta leave a little room
Such
for
a Leo.
others. So don't hog all the space, okay? Release what's no longer serving you. Full moon, that's a good time for closure anyway. So it's a good day to release things. Dance, sing, create. Leo demands expression. So there you go. Thursday, February 13th, fog advisory. Sun conjunct Neptune. So astro conditions. Reality? What reality? The cosmic fog rolls in, bringing heightened intuition, but also confusion. Ideal for dreamers and creatives, but tricky for decision making. So you're going to be kind of flighty, I guess. Heads in the cloud. Warning. Lies, illusions, and mixed signals could be at play. Keep your wits about you.
Oh man.
Signs most affected, Pisces, Leo, and Cancer. You're swimming in the deep.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So what to do? Tap into creativity, art, music, poetry. Yes. Meditate or journal. Listen to your intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. So there you go. Okay. And then we're rolling into the weekend. So Friday, Valentine's Day, love in the air, but so are mixed signals.
Oh no!
Oh, Mercury, because Mercury enters Pisces. Yeah, so
I thought you said you didn't want me to get you anything for Valentine's Day. I didn't mean it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I wanted you to want to get me something.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to ask. You should just know.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those. So
for sure.
So astro conditions, conversations turn dreamy and poetic, but watch out for misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Today is perfect for romantic gestures and deep talks. Just don't expect straight answers.
You better have something ready. That's all I'm saying.
Have something in your back pocket, okay?
Yeah, please. Try to look out for you.
So warning, if you're planning a heart-to-heart, spell things out clearly. Okay, so if you want someone to propose, you need to tell them that. Okay, stop hinting around. Is what I'm picking up from that. Signs most affected: Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. Communication is slippery on that day. So.
Okay.
What to do? You need to speak from the heart, but keep it clear. Write love letters, poetry, or sing a love song. Don't do that to a Leo. I'll tell you that right now.
Don't. Yeah, maybe a Cancer too. Well, no, we would appreciate that.
Just don't sing a love song. I'm cool with the poetry or letters, but
I don't know. You know your partner.
You know what? Just do you.
Yeah, you do
you, but make it clear.
Have something ready and have a clear intention.
Yeah, and exactly. So last thing, if things feel foggy, give it a day. Clarity's coming. So
I have to think about that poetry you wrote about me and get back to you on that.
Yeah, that one verse wasn't very clear, yeah. So
not
careful.
really sure those lyrics, what you were saying, but Okay.
Yeah, so kind of an interesting week ahead.
Yeah.
I'll just
I
say.
mean, it is. It's a lot of emotion, a lot of Travis energy, I think.
Yeah. And then if that's not enough, let's finish it up with the weekend. So for the weekend, it's going to be revolutionary winds and future visions. So Mars sextile Uranus, I'm going to say February 15th. I don't know what this is. Pallas enters Aquarius. I've never heard of that one. Pallas. I'm not familiar with that.
Alice, I don't know,
But
but
what
we
it
can
all
find out.
means, right, is a high energy front moves in on Saturday, bringing bold ideas and a rebellious streak. But Sunday, the dust settles, revealing a clear path forward. Expect sudden insights, electrifying breakthroughs, and an urge to shake things up. Warning, restlessness may tempt impulsive decisions. Make moves, but think them through. All right? So, sounds like a lot of fogginess this week. Maybe just I would try to avoid major decisions personally, from
Yeah.
the sounds of it. Um, let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, signs most affected are going to be Aries, Scorpio, Aquarius, Capricorn, Libra, and Gemini. That's like half of them.
Yeah, I was about to say that's half of the zodiac. So pretty much a lot of that.
So most of us are going to be affected. At least half of
Yeah.
us. What to do Saturday? Be spontaneous. Try something new. Say yes to adventure. Sunday, reflect. Um, and map out long-term goals. All weekend, connect with innovative thinkers. Big ideas are brewing. And
Okay.
yeah, that's what this week looks like.
All
So just
right.
to kind of sum it all up, early week, expect unexpected changes. Midweek, full moon demands self-expression. Weekend, bold action plus strategic planning equals growth. So there you go. Not really so bad, but not great either.
I
Like,
mean, I feel like we've been through it, really. I mean,
yeah, it's just kind of meh.
yeah, it's all right.
Yeah,
Hopefully the sun's shining where you are, so that's helping.
yeah. So I don't know. Just roll with it.
Yeah, just tap
Don't be
into
too
that Travis
reactive, too
energy.
serious.
Yeah, I
Be
like it. Good
Travis.
advice.
Yeah,
Just think, what would Travis do in the situation?
and don't do
And then
that.
maybe don't do that. Yeah, exactly. Don't do, like, just don't do
No,
it.
don't do it.
Do
Some
not.
of us might have to fight against our intuition.
Yeah. Yes.
But yes, so that is my part. I'm out. Now it's your headline.
Wait. Oh, Adele, I've got a fun cult for you today. Oh, listen here. It's still an active cult.
Woohoo.
All right. So today, guys, we're not going to be talking about, a haunted asylum or a vengeful spirit lurking in the woods. Today is a real live, crazy, holy screaming type of place. It's called Word of Faith Fellowship. Have you heard
Mm,
of it?
no.
Okay. Well, buckle up because we're going to Spindale, North Carolina, that's home of this modern American cult.
Well, I'm picking up like a mega church kind of vibe. I don't know if it's
Actually
like that.
not a mega church. It kind of is a little like it was rooted as Pentecostal, but then took a turn.
Mm,
Took a turn. So let's talk a little bit about Word of Faith Fellowship being a cult because some people were like, I don't think it's a cult. I don't know. But this cult has been investigated by the FBI. Thinking that the FBI is involved, and typically you're probably in cult. But here are the checks, okay? We have an authoritarian leader. Sound familiar?
mm,
Her name is Jane Whaley, and she has total control of you and the church. She loves to use mind control. In fact, members are cut off from outside influences
yep.
completely. Like, you can't read a magazine, you can't read a newspaper. And if your family's not involved in this church, well, they're evil and you need to be cut separated for them. Check. We have abuse and fear-based control, physical, emotional, and financial. Check, check, check.
Yep.
And we have extreme exorcisms and rituals that include public humiliation, screaming, and violence. And then we also have financial and labor exploitation. And we also have forced unpaid labor. So sounds like a cult to me.
And I bet they don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, and I bet these bastards don't pay taxes. So while they still call themselves a church, I think it fits the classic cult model. And I love that it's abbreviated as WOFF, W-O-F-F. That's what I'm going to be calling it. Because
I got a waff of that. Don't waff that over here.
So where do we begin? Okay, let's go back to the 1970s, and we're going to start with Jane Whaley, who was our cult leader, who happens to be a former math teacher with zero theological training, but has a PhD in control freakery, and you're going to see why. So she decides that she is not only a math teacher, Adele, she's a messenger from God.
See, that already confuses me. I'm whenever people are in like hard sciences like math and they're so religious, it blows my mind. I don't understand it. I'm already like, what the fuck with this lady?
But Adele, you're not a messenger from God, so you don't understand, obviously.
I guess not. I need to understand her ways then.
Yeah. Like, she probably believed in science until God spoke to her and said, Jane, I need you to start a cult for me in Spindale, North Carolina. So, try to be a little open-minded, okay?
He was like, Jane, the math is not mathin'.
That's right. That's exactly what God said to Jane. Oh my God. The math's not mathin'. Let's go start a cult. You and me. So, Jane obeys. So she sets up shop in a sleepy little town and slowly builds a religious empire based on fear, mind control, and what we can actually describe as demonic screaming therapy. And we're going to get to that.
The original rage rooms.
It's insane. So at first glance, like if you ride by or see anything about the Word of Faith Fellowship, it might just look like just a regular like Church of God kind of fire and brimstone kind of church and, North Carolina mountains. But then if you step inside, which I urge you not to do, you realize quickly that this place makes The Conjuring look like a Disney movie. Like, I've seen video of this shit.
I would rather deal with an entity or a ghost any day than a cult of brainwashed people. Like, oh my God.
So let's talk about this blasting prayer, okay? This is crazy. So one of the most disturbing rituals that happens on a regular basis is this demonic, it's like a demonic exorcism gone wrong, okay?
Every service?
During service, yes.
But it's like every service they do this?
Well, yeah, because the devil gets in you, girl.
I mean, just
those demons out.
This must be exhausting already.
Oh, it lasts for hours, okay? So these church leaders will decide if you've got a demon in you. Because you can't tell yourself. You weren't called. So, hello. Only Jane knows, and, her few close leaders and teachers could tell, like, Adele, you got a demon in you, and I'm glad you're here. I'm going to help you out. And so what they would do...
I would say, but I was sent by God. Really, you all.
They would be like blasphemy. And so what they would do is circle these... people would literally... They circle around you and scream in your fucking face for hours. And I'm talking like scream at you for hours. And it could even be something like she caught you yawning. So that's a demon. Or, I'm talking crazy shit. Like, you smacked your gum. Satan, let's go. It's stuff like that. It's insane.
Whatever
whatever Jane feels like.
At that moment, it's a demon.
Exactly. Like, so unfortunately, this screaming doesn't just happen to the adults, it happens to the children as well. Um, so they have children and adults that will literally be held down, beaten, and shaken violently under the guise of, we're getting the spirits out of you. And so this
Great.
is like where Pentecostal revival meets like a medieval torture. Like it's intense. Um, so it's just one of those things. Like, I mean, it's like I feel like you would definitely need like trauma therapy after going to one of
It's
these
just weird.
services.
Like obviously, I like a lot of spooky shows and movies and stuff, but I was just like really thinking the other day about how truly horrifying. Maybe it was whenever I was doing the research for Edinburgh Castle and being burned at the stake. I was like,
Mm,
but not only is it the burning part, it was just like a new fear of mine that sounds kind of like this. It's like just being like flogged or just under attack by your entire community. Like that sounds so scary.
that
Like, what
sounds
do you even
horrible.
do? Like, literally, none of those people are coming to your defense. They are all going
No,
to be the end to you. Like,
they
that,
are.
it's horrifying. People are so scary.
That is such a scary thought, but it's true because it's like even people that may not have believed that you were a witch or they don't believe like the devil has entered into you or whatever, they're so scared to say something or speak out because then they're afraid the community is gonna turn on them that they just don't, and they allow it to happen. And you can actually, if you YouTube this church, you can see footage and like investigations, and like a few people like said that they have left, said that they have a lot of trauma and guilt because they deep down they kind of felt like what they were doing was wrong, but they were so brainwashed that they didn't stop it, and so like they have a lot of guilt for
Yeah.
that punishment that they inflicted on other people.
I guess, like, yeah, specifically imagining the inaction of people was like a
Yeah,
new fear unlocked in my mind over the recent weeks of just people watching it happen to you and doing nothing.
nothing about it.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
you're
so
right.
scary.
It's very scary. It's horrible. Well, unfortunately, I think a lot of people have spoken out that have been victims of this church, and it took a lot of guts for them to do that, And I think it's influenced other people to be like, oh, this is not right. So let's just talk a little bit about this church. So, like, say you go and you're like, you know what, I want to join this church. Like, this sounds like me all the way. So just a few things.
I wonder what kind of
No,
person.
oh God,
Oh, wow, that sounds like me.
this is me. Like I want in. No TV, movies, or books unless Jane says it's okay.
Okay.
No dating or marriage unless Jane approves it. So she also arranges marriages. No outside friends. No talking to former like members. And God forbid you even glance at a news report. So basically, if Jane doesn't like it, you don't do it.
Jane builds her
Now,
own reality.
if this sounds fascinating to you and you're like, I'm in, like, tell me more. Uh, so just so you know, if you do something Jane doesn't like, you can expect to be publicly humiliated, literally locked away somewhere, subjected to another round of unholy screaming therapy. And former members say even children were separated from their parents if the church decided they weren't godly enough. Like they would take your children or
Good
try to take your
Lord.
children from you. So basically, this is like North Korea. Well, hell, even America these days look like a retreat. Like, it's like, okay. So let's talk about the forced labor because, why not?
Girl's gotta eat, right? Like, she has
Right? I mean,
to
she's just a
sell.
girl building an empire. Come on.
Huh.
And so this is a free labor kind of situation. So members, including children, okay, work long hours for church-owned businesses without pay. Now, I think this gets really gross, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Because the church will bring in millions of dollars while the workers get nothing but promises they're going to be blessed. Okay, so a lot of these businesses are in on with Jane, and so a lot of people like that try to get like people involved in investigating for years wouldn't, because they were friends with Jane.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so they were basically like, I'm going to look the other way, because
It's just like the government.
just like the government,
Like,
exactly.
oh, I'm supposed to serve this purpose, but you're lining my pockets, so I'm not. Fuck the
Exactly.
people.
And so that's the reason why a lot of this has gone like it has, because people in high places are affiliated with them, and because they're so big in the community that they just like, oh, well, that's Jane's place, I don't touch it, sorry, not your luck. Ex-members have even testified in court that they were forced to work under threat of spiritual punishment. And so
That's funny. Like, I've heard quite a few, like, more. Well, I guess they've all done it, but especially like these more modern cults, like the exploitation and working their like these people, especially the teenagers, like in fast food shit. Like, it's just the oddest ways to exploit and make money, and it's so like in front of your face. Like a lot of restaurants, like I didn't realize it's like, oh, it's staffed by this church, and they don't get paid, and it's just like,
yes.
what? Are you?
Well, no, I mean, don't you remember reading about unpaid labor being in the Bible? I don't, but apparently in Jane's version.
I do. It was called slavery.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, it's so vomitous.
Which I think the Bible is actually quite okay with.
Oh, well, I guess depends on which version you read. So finally, victims are speaking out. So former members of the Word of Faith Fellowship have really started coming out, sharing their accounts and experiences within the church, trying to shed light on this abuse and just like what's been going on since the 70s. So Jamie Anderson, this is so sad, recounted being confined as a child to a windowless storage room that was known as the lower building, where he endured physical and emotional abuse. And he described the environment as one of constant fear and manipulation, stating nobody saved us. They didn't care that they were down there. They was like, whatever. Another person, Rick Cooper, shared his ordeal of being held captive in that same lower building for a year. A fucking year. So this child is in this place for a year, which he describes as a prison without bars, where he and others suffered prolonged beatings, psychological torment under the guise of religious discipline. And then there's also a book that you can read about this. It's called Broken Faith Inside the Word of Faith Fellowship. And the author says this is one of America's most dangerous cults. There's just numerous testimonies from former members that account detailed practices like the blasting. There's also just crazy control, and it's just horrible. And like, I watched one video that had a former member that like worked in the nursery, and they would tie these babies to chairs, like tie these kids up to chairs. And like, if a baby cried, because if a baby's cry, that's what they do. Like, they would get in their face and start blasting them and screaming at them at like such a young age, and like shaking them. And so they showed, like, I think it was Inside Edition, showed this to like a child psychologist, and she's like, this is terrifying. Like, this is 100% child abuse, like 100%.
Like, that has to be doing irreparable damage to their brains, though.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Like,
yes.
I don't know what it's going to take for everybody to just accept that. Like a lot of people who are horrible criminals, it's because they were traumatized and their brains forever changed by something that's happened to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's shit like this that does this to people.
Yep. And they have two brothers that escaped. Like, one, but of course, like, it's crazy. Like, Jane arranged the marriage between this guy and his wife, and they end up going to law school. And like, I'm surprised Jane allowed it. And then as soon as they were out, they were like, oh my God, we've been fucking abused for years. Because they kind of like grew up in this, so like, they thought it was normal. And then when they realized it, that he got his brother out, but like, his parents won't even talk to them. Like, like, it's that whole thing, like, they're evil, like the devil's gotten them, and blah, blah, blah. And so he's really he and his brother speak out a lot about like what happened to them, and it's really helped other people, you know, find that courage as well. But it's horrible. You can just tell like they still have so much trauma from, I mean, like, who wouldn't, from growing
Yeah.
up like this.
Like
Um,
you never get over that stuff. You learn how to cope with it.
Exactly. Like you never get over something like that. So let's talk about the FBI here. So you would think after decades, I mean, we're talking decades of blasting prayers, family separations, forced labor, that this place would be shut down, right? But again, it hasn't. It was not until 2017 that the Associated Press blew the lid off this real life horror show with an explosive investigation. And then the FBI gets involved. And former members started speaking out about what they endured. Now, there have been lawsuits, federal probes, and multiple investigations, but somehow Jane is still at it. She's in her 80s and her church is still going strong after all these years. And it makes me so sick because it's like, how is this still allowed to go on? And it's like, kind of like we see with the government and whatnot today. I mean, I think that their pockets get lined, and then it's like, you know, they say that did not happen. Like, no, 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 that is not what we do. And you know, it's like people believe them, and it's disgusting that they can continue to abuse people like this. But despite the mountains of evidence that this place is a full-blown brainwashing operation, Word of Faith Fellowship still exists, and Jane, she's still in control. Survivors are still coming forward with horror stories. Law enforcement is still struggling to dismantle the cult completely. And I just think that it goes to show, like, you know, when a cult leader pays better than a televangelist, you know, they just look the other way and say, what the hell, you know, go ahead. But it is just a complete nightmare, this place. It is horrible. So just a little bit, if you find yourself in Spindale, just want to give you some advice. Run like hell if you see this place. Trust former members. And then educate yourself on cult tactics, because, you know, these people have been isolated. They've been in mind control and fear-based indoctrination their whole life. And so I think it's so important that we learn, if we ever do come across someone like that we don't say things like, wow, you're a dumbass. Like, how could you ever get involved in something like that? And so they need our support as well, because a lot of times people that leave these cults, they don't have any money. They don't have any support. They have no idea how to live outside of this bubble that, you know, some of them, their parents had them and raised them in this, you know? And so a lot of times I think they need our help instead of our judgment, because sometimes you're like, you know, you listen to this and you're like, why would you do this? Like, what the hell's the matter with you? So just try to remember that. And then maybe also stay skeptical of prosperity gospel and preachers. Like, you know, when they're telling you to donate all your money and it'll all make you rich, and they're saying things like vote for Trump, and they're saying things about slavery, you might need to
Like
get
anybody has like ownership over any other group of people kind of bullshit.
You need to go. You need to go. And, you know, and I'm going to also say this, having, you know, not been to a church quite like this, but kind of not that far off. Be wary of excessive screaming in churches. Like, if it's sounding like a scene from The Exorcist and you see people like shaking other people, maybe holding them down or straightening kids in chairs, you need to get the fuck out of there.
Also, kind of like forced altar calls. Like, we're not moving until somebody comes up here. That's bullshit too.
You need to get up and move towards the door.
Yeah, you need to probably be like, this isn't right.
Yeah. And I think it kind of goes back to listening to your gut, because you know deep down, you know.
It feels off.
Yeah, exactly. So just some don'ts. If anybody ever invites you to come check out this church, say no thank you. Don't let Jane Whaley pick your spouse out. I think you know better than Jane. And don't assume you can just walk away, because it's not as simple as grabbing your Bible and peacing out. Former members describe being cut off from like their families and even stalked and freaking harassed. So Yeah, it's not so easy sometimes. And hey, if you don't work for free for a church-owned business, as Adele said early, don't do that. Um, Free labor is not serving God, okay? No.
It's
Like working
exploitation.
12-hour shifts with no pay while a pastor drives a luxury car, you're in a fucking cult, not a church. You're serving, you're serving a Jane, okay?
Yeah, you're just giving all your money to this person.
You
That's
100% are. Yes.
And no
And
matter what you do, you're never going to be good enough. You're
yeah,
never going
and
to
I
be
also think
saved.
if you know that it's a church-owned business that doesn't pay their employees, don't support it.
Yeah. But this actually sounds like a town that you can just drive through on accident.
Well, okay, so Spindale is like going towards Asheville, North Carolina.
And
So
it,
you
it,
know,
it conveniently survived the hurricane. It didn't
it
get
can, right,
That's great.
right. It's in Rutherfordton County,
Yeah,
so it's not as poor mountain towns, you know.
I'm sure
Um,
play that up as a miracle.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's just a final thought for you here. If someone tells you that WOFF isn't a cult, it's just misunderstood, kind of like people say about one Donald Trump and MAGA, then your church, just reply back. Say, why does your church have FBI file? Because this place does. And I think Donald Trump does too. So if you have an FBI file,
The
it might
FBI does well. It used to not. I don't know what the future of the FBI is going to be.
Do we even have the FBI anymore?
It
We may
used
not have
to
today.
investigate you for a reason. They don't. You know what I mean? Like, oh god.
Yeah. So if a church you're considering has an FBI file, it's probably not a good look. The wrong
Probably
place
printed.
to be. Yeah. So just a reminder to stay safe, stay skeptical, and for the love of all things spooky, please don't get blasted at this place. Don't do it.
I just
Have
imagine
fun.
myself accidentally stopping into that town for gas or something. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know if you don't know. But I'm like,
Well, now you know.
now I
It
have
is-
to go there.
You're like, damn it, I gotta go to Spindale.
Now I have to drive through it.
and just see it. Yeah, maybe
It's
say
It's just like right up the street for you. You could just
it is right up the street for me. And
hand them pamphlets for mission gathering.
I should. Now that's a good place. Or yeah, I should definitely do that. But they're just it's just sad. You know, I think it's so sad. And right now I'm struggling, like I know our listeners are as well, and you too, Adele. Just with like Christian nationalism, which I thought about covering. But it was just I mean, this I think is probably not too far off from it. But just I have such a hard time with people that do evil in the name of God, you know, and then people just think it's okay and that they're supposed to be living this hard life and doing these bad things, but the reward will come later. And you know, we've seen that growing up.
That's
and
the
it's
biggest
so
lie, guys.
sad.
Everybody that's gonna exploit you tells you that your reward comes in the afterlife.
Yeah.
No, that's just means to control you right now.
And I feel like, you know, Adele and I saw that a lot growing up, that people they're good people for the most part, and they wanted to do right, and they really believed that, hey, you know what, you're right, I'm going to give my last dollar.
I'm
to
not going to
you.
pay my power bill. I'm not
Yeah.
going to pay my power bill. I'm going to give it to the preacher driving
Yeah.
around in his Jaguar that he paid for like cash for. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not-
you're being
Very-
had, man.
I suggest you watch a little show called Righteous Gemstones. It was just great right now because you need a laugh, but I think there's a lot of truth behind Righteous Gemstones as well. Like, I know it's elaborate and over the top, but I think there's a lot of truth to it, guys. And I'm not going after all pastors. I mean, Andrew, I love you. You're amazing. But there are a lot that really take that role and use it as abuse to abuse people. And the place I go, most of us have been from that background where we've experienced it, and it's just sad. And like, this is just a complete extreme. But I just can't imagine like someone shaking my child, and then they're like, well, and then she really thinks that if your child screams, it's the devil. It could be because they're hungry or sick or need their diaper changed. It's because it's the devil.
Well, that's
And-
kind of like what our church used to say. We were raised Church of God, and they would say that children are born evil. that like you're just an evil, horrible thing the second you're born because you were born into an evil, sinful world. Like they act like it's the worst thing in the world to be freaking alive, and it's not. It's just a lie to control you. It makes me so mad. So many people missing out on their entire lives so these assholes can just steal your money and waste your time.
It's so true. And like you see people that do it for their whole life, just living a life of just a hard life, you know?
They're literally vampires. Like these people are sucking the resources and life out of their congregation, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing off on all churches. Like there are places where it is more of a good community. I'm mainly talking about evangelical Christian nationalist kind of bullshit.
Right.
And people, for some reason, still package it and accept it as a religion just because they use the Bible.
And I wouldn't even say they use the Bible. They translate the Bible to tell you
they market their religion with the Bible.
Yes, exactly.
It's their marketing scheme.
And thank you for making that statement, Adele. It's like, we're not talking about all churches and Christians. We're not saying that. We're talking about like this church in particular.
Predatory ones.
Yes. And I think it's sad because like I just think that a lot of times, you know, look at what the Christian nationalists are doing to our country. You know, like this cult's literally taken over our whole country, and that's what I wanted to cover, but it was just too heavy. But this is along the same lines. So I would feel like if you probably listen to this podcast, you likely don't go to a place like that. But if you're sneaking and hearing this and you do, please know that there is help out there for you and support for you. And if you have questions, you're not bad for having questions. And anybody that leads a church that tells you that you're just doubting God, you shouldn't have questions, is wrong. They should encourage your questions. And so if you find yourself in a place like that that's not encouraging your questions, that isn't inclusive of all people, just, you know, asking for all your money, asking you to do things all the time for free, just be careful. Watch yourself.
You feel like you can't even be yourself there. Run away. Yes. Like if you're constantly having to change everything about you, it's not the place for you.
It's not the place for you. So, and it can be easy to get involved in, you know, and we don't think you're dumb. It happens.
My assumption is it sounds like this is the type of cult that started in the 70s, banked on continuing the cult through controlling how their children. Like it sounds like a generational cult to me, more so than going out and looking for new members outside of their own community, which is even more sinister because you don't know you're being raised in a fucked up situation.
You're exactly right. And like, you know, we saw it in the places we grew up in, generations of people.
I would dare say, like, I'm probably going to get shit for this, but I'm from the South. I was born and raised there, so I can fairly say this. A bunch of it is very culty. Like, it's not a surprise for me that a crazy lady was able to take a semi-Christian religion and take over a whole town. Because it's already like that in so many places. Like it really is, like, and it's evangelical nationalism kind of shit, and it's entire cities and towns that it's just a cult. Exactly. I don't know how much louder to blow this whistle.
Right. And that's one reason why, you know, I was going to go a different way today, but I really wanted to do this one because I really want people to understand how you're like, oh, that's just a little church in Spindale, North Carolina. Okay, whatever. It's not.
It's thousands of them.
It's thousands of them. And then we end up in the situation that we're in right now in America. And then it gets in the hands of evil people like Donald Trump.
And then it gets in the hands of people just getting rid of the education system?
Yes. Like, and then it gets in the hands of millionaires that have a way in now to, so you have these people literally praying over this man who couldn't be anything more evil. And so that's why I wanted to say, like, this isn't just a little hillbilly cult, like, oh, bless their dumb hearts. It isn't. It's dangerous. It's
way more sinister, way more far-reaching.
It's, I think people just, I mean, me included, I laughed at it, but look what, it's ruining an entire country. It's ruining families. It's ruining just so much. And so I think that, obviously, if you listen to this podcast, I'm sure that you feel the same way, but it's dangerous. And if this does reach some ears that it could save, So please get out. Like, you deserve
Yeah.
better.
Email us. We'll pick you up.
We will, yes, we will, have resources. And I think it's just a lot of it. I think you're right, Adele. I think it's just like my grandparents, my great grandparents went here, so I'm gonna go here. I was almost that way. Listen, Adele has always been smarter than me and like way wise. And so she knew that we were not in a good place early on. And
No,
I knew that too,
the
but
thing
I got
is,
scared.
I didn't fit in easily like everybody else. And what I noticed is in these communities, if you don't fit in like everybody else, they make your life fucking hell. And it's kind of worse though. It's like, oh, I think this is bullshit and they're mean to me. But it's almost worse if you do fit in because then they reinforce it and reward you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like they targeted you so much more than me because they were like, you look like us, well, you could, like you're just a cis white woman. You're easier to control versus some queer that never fit in.
It's
You know what I mean?
sad
Like
because
they targeted you so much more. I almost feel like they thought I was a lost cause.
we're not wasting our time with that one. Yeah, it's true. And I will say this because I got treated really bad in a relationship, and I honestly didn't do anything wrong, and I was all of a sudden the bad one.
Yeah.
I was a woman, so therefore I should put up with whatever my spouse did to me. I should basically be a baby maker. Sound familiar, ladies? Does this sound familiar? I should be a baby maker. I should put up with whatever my spouse wants to do to me. I should do all of these things. Guys, this is so dangerous. And look at what is happening. It's not just a little southern thing anymore. Like, this is our country and it's so dangerous. So don't be afraid to use your mind and be like, it was hard for me because I had been raised in thinking I'm going to spend my whole life in hell and I'm going to rot in hell. And so it took a lot longer for me to stand up and physically walk out and say, no more. I'm not doing this anymore. This is not right. And I know it's hard. I've been there. I know it's hard, but I've never felt more free. Because once you're out of it, you can see things so much more clearly. And I'm not telling you not to love God, and I'm not saying that to you at all. I'm just saying be careful of the people that say
Go
things.
explore.
Be careful.
I mean, go explore other religions. You're allowed to go sit and attend other churches and just see how different it is at other churches.
If your leader tells you that you're wrong for doing that, there's your sign.
Because they don't want you to see. That's the whole thing.
Sign.
For
me, my breaking point was when this person said in the pulpit that Dalai Lama, though a good person, was going to hell. And I remember I stood up and left because I was like, if you're going to say that Dalai Lama is going to hell, then I am fucked. Like, we are all fucked. So that was my final straw where I was like, I actually read a lot about Dalai Lama, and I was like, how could you say that? Like,
they even said that about Mother Teresa. I was like, she's even a Christian. Oh, but the Catholics don't count.
Yeah, Catholics don't count. So just be careful. Just use your mind. Because it can be very easy to get in this, or just, that's what mom and dad have always done. And if I left, they would be so mad. And I see a lot with our generation too. A lot of people feel guilt because if they have children, they're like, I can't believe you're not raising these babies in the church. And so then you get that. And sometimes it's easier just to go along with it versus saying, no, I don't want to raise my kid like I was raised. And I get that because you get all that blah 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 blah. You're being a bad
everybody's
parent,
fucking opinions,
and that can be hard. But really think about it. Think about what they taught you and what they're teaching your children and how they want to carry that. And you could break the cycle and say no, I'm not doing that. Careful out there, guys. I was really nervous about doing this one, but I'm just watching America just kind of dismantle.
And we're not young anymore. Like not
young anymore.
I thought that this stupid church took over our town when I was in school in the 90s and early 2000s, and now to see that this type of church has gone from the fucking little towns to half the nation makes me sick.
And to the White House.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying.
So that's why I just wanted to say, like, this little church right here, it's where it starts, and it spreads like a disease. So this isn't just some little hillbilly hick thing. It's very dangerous. And just the abuse. I mean, God, it's so on that note, I know this was a heavy cult, but I thought it was an important one to cover. Adele. Well, so should we see what we're gonna spend next week?
Let's see what
Or
delightful
now?
topic we're going to cover next week.
There you go. Thank you.
All right. You see the wheel?
I see it.
All right. We're going to spin this wheel. Here we go. What will it be?
Oh, a lot of good choices. A lot of good choices here.
Yeah. Looks like we landed on lore.
All right. I love a good lore.
Be back next week with the lore story.
I love it. Well, Adele, Brood, as we say here on our podcast, please stay safe out there. Please.
Stay curious.
Never trust the
The
living.
living. And just remember, what would Jesus do?
And not the person in the pulpit necessarily.
Yes. Just stay logical out there. If it doesn't make sense and you're doing mental gymnastics, it's not right.
Right. That's right. Trust yourself. You know what's right.
You're not stupid. It's wrong.
No, you're not.
It's not right.
All right, Brood. We will be back next week with a new exciting story. And until then, keep it real. Remember, what would Travis do this week?
Yeah. That's right. All right, later, taters.
Bye, you guys.